Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel for today's tarot pick a card reading all about why did things end like this. So this is going to be any much needed closure on any specific situation you have, whether it is a relationship or a friendship, a situationship, whatever it is, you know, a job, anything. We are going to just help you get that closure that you're looking for and kind of explain why things happened and ended the way that they did. But without further ado, make sure you get yourself into receptive mode to pick your card. If you need to know how to pick a card and get into that receptive mode, check out the video I have linked down below all about how to do that. But otherwise, once you are there, we have group 1, group 2, and group 3. Timestamps will be provided below as always. I'll see you at your time. Hello group 1, let's get started with today's pick a card tarot reading all about why did it end like this? Why did things end like this? So let's place our cards to get started. First we have food or drink. These are my new cards that I just got. Actually, we'll place it up like this. We have teeth falling out. Interesting. And then for your tarot cards, we have the Hanged Man, the King of Wands, the 9 of Pentacles, King of Cups in reverse, and the Lovers. So right away, I'm getting the message that this is a time where you are meant to go off on your own and really refill yourself from a place that is coming from you or a divine source rather than other people. Because with this food and drink here, this says the food and drink tends to refer to emotional, spiritual, or intellectual nourishment. And then the teeth falling out may suggest fear of aging or feeling unattractive or unappealing in some way. So with the 9 of Pentacles being smack dab in the middle, this is like you're not feeling appreciated for some reason in this situation, so you had to move on and leave so you could kind of get your ducks in a row is what I'm getting. Like King of Cups in reverse tells me that you weren't standing right in your emotions, you know, like I think you were in your emotions, but I don't think they were entirely your emotions is what I'm getting here with the Hanged Man. It's just telling me too with the food and drink that maybe you have just been taking in a lot. This is a very Pisces vibe, which I have astro cards here and I can see the first one here is Pisces too. So confirming that even more, but with the teeth falling out, the food and drink, I mean, that really is telling me that like you are taking in a lot of things and maybe not really worrying or not really understanding that those things could be adding to your list of worries and adding to your problems. And so the universe kind of intervened here and was like, there's a lesson to be learned about your connections, especially with the Lovers too. Something about having to learn how to connect with people in a way that keeps your boundaries safe is very important here. And I'll just lay down these astro cards here since they're already relevant. But we have Pisces, we have 5th house, we have Libra, and we have the 6th house. So yeah, I feel like you guys have this drive. That's so funny because this is this boundless energy and needing to get boundaries. Libra learns that boundaries, whereas Pisces isn't the most practical, I would say, especially when it comes to their own energy, because this is the energy of the collective a lot of the time. You know, 12th house, Pisces, Neptune is that energy. Same with the Hangman too. So it's like whenever you go into a certain situation, I think you take in a lot more of the energy. And 5th house, 6th house here is like this rather excited, vibrant energy that like think at first it fills you up, but then the 6th house is like understanding that like it's not filling you up exactly the way that you first intended it to be, because the 6th house is where you start to adjust from that initial assertion that you saw in the 1st house. So interesting little tidbits here, but I just feel like this situation really did have to end so you guys could have a clear sense of where you were coming from emotionally versus where other people were, because like I said, King of Cups being reversed just lets me know that you guys might have been taking in and taking on other people's burdens and really just things that I think weighed you down and made you, I think, more full of an energy that I think turned you into kind of a domineering person. And I say that because we have the King of Wands here upright and even the 9 of Pentacles here. Like those two individuals to me are somebody who like really can stand in their power and stand in it alone. So maybe this isn't your energy and this is what you're supposed to be learning, or, you know, throughout this time, if this has been kind of, you know, dead and gone for a second here, I feel like you guys have walked into this new phase where you're able to do that. And that's kind of what, I don't know, it's like working out for you. Working out this energy is what I'm getting, like exercising this energy into an actual place instead of letting it just be stagnant, because you get all of this energy from other people, that it's almost like suffocating for you to actually do what you want to do here. Interesting. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. You guys, I feel like really take the heat for a lot of people is what I'm getting here too. Like you are definitely somebody that will fix other people's problems, but at what point are you going to fix yours, you know? And that's kind of the energy, I think, of why this had to happen the way it did. You know, teeth falling out also to me is like control. And I mean, it even says here teeth are symbols of viability or sometimes power. I don't know if I said that right, but and it says, hence this may feel like you're feeling neglected, frustrated, or overlooked, or inferior in some way. So yeah, I just feel like you guys, you know, you were taking in too much of like the environment and its energies, and maybe just, I don't know, I feel like the light of the environment, you were using it for your light, but it's like that isn't your truest light, and I think you may have convinced yourself otherwise. Because both Pisces and Libra, although, you know, they can be very different in the way that they act, they're both very much people pleasers, and not in a bad way. They just, I mean, it can be a bad way, I guess, if you let it go too far, but not so much in a bad way, I feel like, though, because it's like you guys know how to satisfy yourself, but I think that is changing. Like the way that you've satisfied yourself needs to be altered a little bit. Yeah, 5th and 6th house too, you know, like this is that initial like party, whereas like the 6th house is cleaning up that party. You know, you made a mess that you have to deal with, and I feel like this is almost kind of what happened here. You know, I feel like, especially with Pisces and Libra here, you guys may have felt like you never really did anything wrong in this situation. But I think the thing is you never really did anything like right for you either. Like not, I mean, you've done things right, obviously, don't get me wrong, but like for you specifically and for your truth, I think you may have lost yourself a little bit, honestly. And I think that this was kind of the pull to stand in your truth more specifically and do what you want to do more specifically, instead of just feeling like you can't do that. And like I was saying, I feel like there's a lesson to be learned here about the way that you're able to be influenced by others, and how that influences who you are too, and who you show up as too. So that's very interesting. I want to pull some more cards for you guys to just dive into this message a little bit more. So why did things end like this for group 1? Ooh. All right, so we have the Railroad, the Rose, and the Fish. Oops, can't put it up there. Yeah, so this gives me the impression that you guys had to take this new route, a new adventure, to find things that really spoke to your spirit and, I don't know, take you to a place that you may never have been, you know, in that spirit. Because I feel like while you guys have a divine connection, you know, we all have it within us, the ways that we exercise it vary, and they differ, and they can vary and differ throughout our lives too. And I feel like for you guys, this is a connection thing that has had to develop over time, but you're finally on your way to like starting a new journey and a new path for yourself because of all the work that you've done, and all the lessons that you've had to learn, I think, through maybe wrongfully taking on people's energy and then being burdened by it. Because I feel like you guys do get burdened by things, although you put on this front like everything is fine, like I was saying with these energies. But like the King of Cups being in reverse, it's like emotionally you're not like where you want to be, I feel like, and where you should be, honestly, is the kind of thing that is coming up here. So it's like, that's why this relationship had to end, or I say relationship, situation, whatever thing had to end, is because you had to learn your lesson. You had to move on to be where you're supposed to be, and you couldn't do that where you were, because I feel like the thing that was like helping you was hurting you. I always get this with the roses. It's like that rose has, you know, every rose has its thorn, like they say. So it's like with you guys, the thorns almost got to the point where, like, I don't know, the rose and the thorns, like, it wasn't an equal balance anymore. The thorns weren't protecting the rose anymore. It started becoming like, I don't know, like your environment was attacking you more than it was actually helping you flourish, is what I'm feeling here. And that's why you have to go off and do things on your own sometimes and learn your own path, really. With the Fish here, this is like you know, knowing that there's plenty of fish out there in the sea is like the kind of energy here. Knowing that there's maybe things that are better for you, situations, you know, ways to do things that are better for you, and just taking the time to reflect on that, honestly. And I feel like you just can't do that sometimes when you feel the pressure and the influences of other people, because like you think the fish, it's, you know, contained to that water that it's in. And I feel like for you guys, that's almost like the situation you guys were in. Okay, sorry, my video randomly just cut off, but what I was saying is that I feel like this is the kind of situation that you guys were in, where it's like you're in a fishbowl and you can only swim around in that water, and that water is the emotional energy of the people around you, you know, the things that you're sharing with other people, the energy you're sharing with other people, you know, it's only contained to what you allow yourself to in, you know, this fish symbolism. So I feel like for you guys, you had to get a new tank, basically, a new place to actually experience your own energy and figure it out for yourself, because like I said, things weren't always working the best way for you, and I think you might have felt invaded by maybe other people's energies too here, because there's something about just not being able to be clear about where you're coming from and where other people are coming from, that really stop you from seeing your worth and your value and just how you are able to make an impact on the situation too. I feel like, you know, there's a lot of passivity that I see here, and I don't think you guys are necessarily like completely passive people, but I do think you have this tendency to get in your head and let that be what determines like what you do, rather than, I don't know, like really applying all sides of the situation, you know, in their own little boxes and just kind of like weighing the options. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are really active in this Pisces energy, but you need to activate more of this Libra energy that does have discernment and does kind of balance the pros and cons of things, especially with the things you want, because I feel like you guys in the past have just kind of taken any offer that has been given to you, you know, any kind of relationship, any sort of situation, whatever. Food and drink here, this is like overindulgence energy to me too. So it's like you guys have just had a really tough time being able to see yourselves as the people that, you know, other people can accommodate to. You're always the one accommodating to other people, and that I think makes people a little frustrated when they get, you know, in situations with you, because it's like it's almost like they know something is missing, and then they almost don't know what path you're on, because it's like you're on their path, and sometimes people don't know their path. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is why it's important to know your own energy and where you're coming from, so then, you know, we are just two individual people with their own lives coming together, instead of somebody who's trying to accommodate to somebody else's life, and, you know, it's just like a one-sided thing. And that's a weird message to be coming up here. But even, I mean, with the Lovers here, the 6th house Libra, all of this really, to me, is like, you got to change up how you're connecting to people. And just so much of that is emotional, but I think it comes from a very spiritual place. You know, knowing your connection and knowing that you can get your fill from other things, that's kind of like the root of this situation. So I think a lot of the time, though, that requires us to be away from other people, situations, and like I said, go off on our own. And I would say the 9 of Pentacles is like the noteworthy, like, single person kind of card, you know, like a single woman thriving on her own. This is kind of like where you guys are headed and what you are supposed to get out of this situation, you know, fulfillment on your own terms and from your own energy, not from anybody else's. It's not from anything that can be outsourced, you know, like this has to come from within, and I think you're learning how to make yourself happy from within, you know, it's a very personal process for you. And while I think it scares you because you're feeling out of control, you're actually gaining more control through, you know, finding your own emotional space and safety within it, and finding and creating those boundaries within your relationships with other people. But first, you got to do that within yourself and sorting things out with yourself. So, you know, that's kind of why things happen how they happen. And I feel like ultimately for you guys, back of the deck, clouds, you know, it's like you're in this foggy state. It feels like bad things are happening, but really, I mean, look at how beautiful this energy is. Like, none of these cards tell me of anything bad. If anything, it tells me that you are perceiving it bad because it's it feels like a loss to you. But that's one thing about Pisces energy, is that that loss is never really a loss, because there's a oneness on the flip side of that perspective, you know? And I think this is kind of relevant, but I had a conversation the other day about how like space is everything and it's also nothing, you know? And that's kind of the duality that you see here with Pisces too, is it's like you're not losing anything, you're gaining the ability for everything, you know, when you filter out and kind of purify your energy a little bit. And like I said, get clear on the emotional space that you have, and use that more to determine where you're putting your energy and what you're doing with it. Because the King of Wands is so willing to help and so willing to take charge of the situation. But when it comes to your emotional space, you know, that's where it gets a little confusing to you, because I think that's just not a lesson you've completely learned yet. But like this situation unfolded the way it did so you could learn it, and so you can feel, you know, confident instead of confused about your feelings. And that ultimately will help you in so many ways as you age and as you just, I don't know, experience your life. Because, I mean, with aging coming out here with the teeth falling, you know, this might just be something of like you're getting older and you're losing people and you're like confused because, you know, it feels like you're like not ever going to be able to make those people back, you know, especially if they're like long-term or long-standing connections. It's kind of frustrating. But like with wine here, I think that's so beautiful. It's like you're aging like wine. You don't need to worry about things, you know, leaving you, or like feeling like you're going to be missing anything or missing out on anything, because you set these boundaries for yourself. Because this choice, you know, wine to me is always like a decision that you make that just gets better over time. And I feel like this is going to be one of those things, because you are going to stand in this Nine of Pentacles energy and just be a fierce, independent woman, if you will, or, you know, whatever gender you identify with. But I just feel like you are going to be fierce, independent, and be able to stand on your own because of this situation. So sometimes things just have to end for your own evolution and for your own learning of that lesson. And like I said, while it may feel like a loss, this is overall just going to be a win for you and help you expand more into your energy and even more expand that energy. So group 1, I hope this message resonated for you guys. If it did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel. If you'd like extra pick a card readings from me or a private reading, check out the links below to Patreon and Instagram where I offer that. But otherwise, I'm gonna skedaddle, so I will see you guys in a later video. Peace. Hello group 2, let's get started with today's tarot card reading, all about why did things end like this. So let's dive into your cards and we'll get started. I just got a new deck, so if you're gonna look at that, this is from it's like a dream unconscious decoder, but we have unable to find the restroom as one of your symbols, and then transport. Sounds weird, but I promise it's a deeper symbol than what it sounds. Anyways, for your tarot cards, we have the 3 of Swords, the King of Swords in reverse, the Knight of Wands, the 7 of Wands, and the 10 of Cups. Then we have Astro cards, which I'll get to in a second, but diving into your message right away. So with this unable to find a restroom, it says searching unsuccessfully for a restroom is a sign that you're feeling frustrated or blocked in some way in waking life, which makes sense because we do have a few blocks that I'm seeing here. And I feel like this is part of the process. I think that you're meant to move through this situation, to move through this blockage, this emotional blockage. I think this situation did come up for you to get kind of what you've been asking for, you know, this happy, harmonious life, including other people. However, I think that there are some things, some humps that I'm hearing you need to get over in order to do that. And I think a lot of that has to do with your defensiveness. And obviously I say that with this card here, but then the King of Swords in reverse, as well as the Knight of Wands. This energy to me just feels very hostile, almost like it's always being attacked or threatened. Interesting. I feel like you guys have just been through a lot, and the situation is coming through to heal this side of you. Like I said, that it was like, is hostile, is defensive, and like if you don't identify directly with these more primal, you know, aggressive emotions, consider that, because that is like, you know, I feel like a lot of you guys might be like, oh my God, I would never, but like literally watch the video that I have on my channel called Anger is Spiritual. I will link it down below for you guys, because this is very telling of that energy. It's where you get into a place where it's like, you want to manifest, you want the best things to happen to you, you know, like transport. This is like, you're wanting to make a new experience for yourself and to experience some sort of progress. However, you know, with there's being so much blockages here, it's like that progress isn't coming up, and it's like, why am I not getting what I want? Like, I really, like, you're really passionate about it, you're really willing to put in the effort, but then all these roadblocks are coming up, and maybe these bad moods or bad thoughts or something like that, you know, something that's activating this defense within you, and you're like, what the hell? Like, this isn't what I asked for. And bottom line, it's that things happen sometimes when you ask, like when you're manifesting things, you're asking for the universe to give you things, situations, whatever, to help you move past the vibration you're at that obviously is not a match for what you want. And you know, those are the situations you use to work through to change your energy. And I feel like that is 100% what you guys are kind of experiencing with this situation, but just may not understand it completely yet, because you know, with this, in this being upright, to me it's like you can't confront this. King of Swords in reverse, you can't confront this because it's like, I think it's harmful to your ego, but I want you guys to know that you're safe confronting this part of you that I think is running away too, is how I'm feeling. Wow, this is a different message than what I was expecting, but I feel like you guys have just really been through some things, like I said, that have just ticked you off in a weird way inside of you. There's like this weird irritation that I think is coming up for me right now, that's like, you're almost not, you're never satisfied with what you get. It's never enough, but it's like there's something within you that causes you to have that perception and causes you to like block your blessings from yourself. And I think a lot of that has to do with comparison for whatever reason that I'm getting. Seven of Wands to me often has to do with comparison, because I feel like that's what these wands are. It's like other people's opinions and ideas coming in to try to slight you, and you're just like, no, like I can't agree with you. Like I have to fight you on that, and it's like an ego battle is what I'm getting here. But like in reality, I think you guys, you know, this situation, like I said, is coming up for you to look in within yourself and kind of see something that needs to be taken care of, because there is a block that is occurring here in this situation, and that's kind of why it unfolded the way it did. I feel like you haven't been honest with yourself, or if this involves another person, you weren't honest with them right away, and you may have been doing so to protect your heart is what I'm feeling. But like I feel like you ended up hurting yourself is what happened here. I think you hurt yourself in this relationship because there wasn't a proper communication, and this might have just been the undertones that haven't been dealt with that caused all of this. And I don't want you to feel guilty. That is my number one thing, because this is the whole message right here, is that you're trying to clear this guilt and shame and whatever. And I want you to know that even though I'm telling you that this is what it is, and while I know it is hard to hear that, it is important to know that guilt and shame is a choice. And sometimes it's a choice that feels like it's forced upon you, but you can fight it. I feel, here's the thing, is you're accepting this feeling of defeat, of this shame, this guilt, you're accepting it, but at the same time you're fighting it. You know, I think your soul needs to be the fighter though, because I feel like it hasn't been your soul that was fighting, it's your mental state. Your ego, like I said, is fighting for you to protect itself, but in reality it's not helping you make the progress you want. What you need to actually do in this situation, and I think why the situation needed to end, is because you need to realize that you're only fighting yourself here, and you're actually fighting against yourself by trying to prove yourself to other people. But in reality, you're trying to prove yourself to yourself. You're trying to prove that you have a right to not feel shameful, but yet you're trying to tell other people that you shouldn't have to feel shameful. You know what I mean? Like, you need to do the convincing to yourself, and that's why things worked out the way they did, because whatever reason, it just wasn't honest communication that was happening, and I think it's because you had to figure out where you were coming from. Wow. Yeah, no, I definitely feel this one for you guys, because I feel like, you know, transportation, like I was saying, like, you want to move on with things. You want to get to this happy place, but like you have to confront things head on. You know, King of Swords upright is a very confrontational king. He will say exactly what needs to be said, very blunt, honest, and you know, knows that there's transformation to come with that. And so with this being in reverse and the Knight of Wands being right up against it, like literally the horse is like up on its hind legs, just, you know, I don't know, just being kind of frazzled by this. It's like direct confrontation is almost threatening to you, but it shouldn't be, because it's actually what is going to help you. And I feel like things ended the way they did in this situation so you could realize that for yourself. And so you could do something with that for yourself and actually get what you want, because you're not going to get it fighting yourself. You have to fight for yourself and advocate for yourself. You know, you can't change things by just focusing on them externally, because I feel like it's your energy that's hurting here. You know, it's not as much of the external projection as it looks, is what I'm getting. So this is this is very, very interesting. So let me look at our astro cards more. So we have Jupiter, we have North Node, we have Mars, and Trine. So this Jupiter-Mars thing is like, yeah, I mean, I feel like you're putting your attention too much on, you know, yeah, like your ego. Because North Node, I mean, Rahu is the head without a body. So it's like you're all ego, all in this with like a very thoughtful presence. But it's like, it's not thoughtful in the right direction, I feel like. Because with Mars and Jupiter, it's like almost too much energy in one area. But it still gives you like a really good vitality. So it feels right. And I feel like for you guys, you know, you felt like you were right. And I feel like things can be so justified that you're right. But in this situation, you know, we have to go back and learn where we have been wrong and where we have just been taking the easy way out, instead of really allowing ourselves to see our true destiny and how it actually expands us and allows us to take action towards the things that we truly want, you know. And I think it's hard for us to really pinpoint it, because it's like, you don't want to be seen as being the one wrong here, but like, that's the thing, is wrong or right is also a subjective thing. And I think you guys really need to do this Jupiter thing of zooming out, in order to allow yourself to breathe and really see how you can heal the situation. Because I feel like with Mars here, you guys may be too invested in it. And like I said, like, if you guys don't like this primal energy, it's because you're almost feeling too much of it, and you're repressing it. You're not feeling it. So it gets fueled even more, and it gets fueled from a place that's like not necessarily healthy for connections and for what you want. Honestly, like, this isn't even about, you know, relationship connections or anything. It's like you're trying to manifest something, but you're not being what is needed for that. So this situation's coming up for you to learn how to do that. But in order for you to learn how to do that, you have to take that action and kind of understand where that action lies too. There's an opportunity here to heal, you know, Jupiter with this Three of Swords, but you have to take that opportunity, and you can't do that if you're not, you know, giving yourself that benefit of the doubt too. We have the Love card come out too. So this is like, yeah, you have to have that self-love in order to believe that it's okay for you to look into yourself and, you know, look into these more primal emotions. Like I said, Clouds and the Shepherd, yeah, you guys have to learn your own way out of these situations, I think, too, because like I said, like, you're using your energy so strongly, but in the wrong area. You know, you're putting too much in an area that like needs energy, don't get me wrong, but like, you can't justify things with love and light all the time, I think, is kind of the message that's coming here. You can't justify, you know, your own pain. Like, when you're feeling anger, guilt, shame, anything like that, you can't justify that by putting on a love bandage. Wow, I like that, actually. I've never said the word love bandage before, but that's 100% what it is. Like I said, like, you're taking the easy way out. And you kind of showing yourself this like superficial love. Like I said, you're defending your ego. You're trying to justify, like, no, I'm on track. I'm right where I need to be, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think, you know, I mean, I don't want to say like you aren't, but like, I just think sometimes what we think is the right way to do things is not the wrong way necessarily, but it's like you have to alter it a little bit. And like, you can get so close to something and it works for you for so long, and then you just need to change it up. And that is, you know, Mars and Jupiter energy, I would say, together too, is Mars gets to be a little enlightened when a touch of Jupiter. However, it has to take that opportunity when it comes, because if Mars is just doing its thing, being so, you know, aggressive, honestly, is where it comes down. Because like I said, if you're not dealing with this underlying aggression, it's gonna come out anyways. Like I said before, like, the soft exterior of Venus is actually rooted in the harsh interior of Mars. So consider that as like, maybe you have just been coming from a place that you think is, you know, a lot better than what you ever have before. Like maybe you have been somebody that was really actually defensive and like really in your face about it, but then you've toned back and you've learned how to do that, but you're almost, like I said, protecting yourself in a different way, you know, instead of you fighting to other people about how you feel or where you're coming from, etc. You've turned that into yourself and turned it into this mental conflict that I think ends up putting you in weird positions to like hurt people when you don't want to hurt them. I think that you just have to find a space in yourself to be free enough to explore the love that you should have for yourself. But I just feel like it's hard for you to do that, especially when you feel like you're not getting what you want, you know, like it's even more frustrating to that energy. But I think that energy is just being activated more and more for you to pay attention to it and actually give it some credit for what it is and like the power that it holds. Because if you don't give it that credit, I feel like it just lays in this ambiguous state where it's, you know, you don't know if it's temporary, if it's permanent. You don't know what to do with it, honestly. And I feel like the only way to lead yourself out of this situation is realizing a better way to flow this energy, which you can do by actually giving it attention. Give your primal energy attention, give it love, give it nourishment, because it's not just this primal energy. It's not just anger or aggression or impulses, you know, it's courage, it's determination, tenacity, willpower. It's this drive to do things. And I feel like that is kind of being impeded right now because of where you guys are coming from. So why did things end like this? I feel like it had to happen so you could deal with these demons that you have beneath the surface that are really stopping you from actually getting to that high vibe place, or, you know, that equal vibe place, that alike attracting alike to what you want. And I think, you know, while it feels like this is something that is like an obstacle, a burden that you may not ever get over, it's just something to be worked on like anything else. And like you've been able to, like I said, kind of switch where you were putting your defensive energy, you can now heal that defensive energy because it's no longer outside of yourself. You know, you can identify with it and actually get to know it. And I actually talk a lot more about this in my sub-personalities video, so I will link that one down below too, because this is just all about working with different sides of yourself, but specifically the more primal and hurt part of yourself that is just really looking for attention. And I think the ending of this situation gave you the opportunity to, I think, expand that energy past what you have experienced it as. And you no longer have to deal with this anxiety if you choose not to, I feel like, because this is the opportunity being presented with you to handle it and heal it and to transcend it in a way that actually helps you, like I said, get to everything that you've wanted to manifest. So group 2, I hope this message resonated for you guys. If it did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more intuitively channeled messages, as I love to give them to you. If you guys would like extra readings from me or a personal reading, check out the links below to Instagram and Patreon, as always. But otherwise, I'm going to skedaddle, so I hope to see you guys in a later video. Peace. Hello, group 3. Let's get started with your reading all about why did things end like this. So I got some new cards all about like dream decoding, so we're going to be using those. But we have intruders, and then we have nudity. And then for your tarot cards, we have the Star, we have Justice, Page of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and Death. And then we have some more cards that we will dive into in a sec. So right away with intruders and nudity, it feels like you guys are in a new space in your life that is completely fresh to you, and you don't know what to make of it, I feel like. And both the intruder and nudity are fresh energies, but then on top of that, we have the Page of Cups and Page of Pentacles, which is, again, fresh. So I feel like not only are you guys in a new emotional state, but like physically you guys are, you know, your world is changing, and it's completely different than maybe other things. And I feel like, you know, why did this end? It had to end so you could have this new beginning, I feel like. So you could, you know, peel off all of these layers and get to a more true version of you. Because the Star here also with the nudity, I think that's interesting how we have like that double symbolism of that, of this vulnerability really, and this real human energy of just being good enough, honestly. I feel like you guys are learning what it's like to be good enough, and that's okay, because being perfect is too high to reach for, and thinking you're not good enough is just not, that's not realistic. You guys have something to do, and I think this situation was able to show you how to do it. And the Death card right here is like, confirming that, you know, like you have gone through a rebirth and you're able to come out with, you know, lessons that you've learned and a real stance to take on life. Honestly, I always take justice or any real figure with a sword like this as a very like stance taken very strongly and very in its own will. You know, you have a very, very good understanding of yourself now, but I think at the same time it makes you extremely vulnerable. So why did this end? I feel like, you know, part of this had to end so you could get to this more vulnerable side of you. I feel like something about this probably didn't allow that for you to experience. You know, you might not have felt safe enough, but all of these cards being up right here just tells me that you are safe. You really don't have to that much to be anxious about. However, I think you guys are kind of sad that this whole situation has changed how it did, because I mean, it was a loss. It felt like a loss, but I think this was just you kind of being able to see where you were coming from and truly what you deserved, honestly. I think this wasn't so much about anything bad, you know, like it wasn't like you deserved anything bad. It wasn't like you deserved to feel this gaping loss or anything, but it's like you guys deserve to feel more like yourselves and more in your power than I think you ever have before. In this situation, like, it's just allowed you to do it. It allowed you to see that you had a lot more within you to share with people, that honestly could help just so much, I feel like. With justice here, the star, death, I mean, the major arcana energy here is very telling of somebody who can help other people because they help themselves, because they know how to renew themselves from a place of balance and I think tranquility too with, you know, certain things and aspects of life. There's a piece that I feel with this energy that I think had to be, you know, worked to. I think you guys, you know, ended this situation, or the situation came to an end because you guys had to figure out what it was that was your power, that was you at your core, you know, stripped down away from everything. What is it that makes you you and makes you powerful? And I don't know, what makes you feel like you're in your element? I feel like this is still just the beginning of your journey of doing so. So I just feel like things had to end for you so you could really, you know, level up is how this is kind of coming out. And for your astro cards, we have the 8th house. We have Scorpio. Oh my God, 8th house, Scorpio. Death is also that energy. Crazy. Quincux and Neptune. Yeah, there's an element of wanting to be seen purely, you know, wanting to see things and situations clearly and purely, but it's like a very mystical energy here too. So I feel like you guys are maybe leveling up, like you guys are into spiritual energy. Yeah, like you, with the Quincux here, it's like, it's complicated, you know, you want to be a part of like this world, but like you've had to learn of your magic. I feel like you guys are very spiritual people for sure with this, like there's just so much occult energy here, and just being somebody that is just kind of more magical and more, I'm just into more supernatural things, you know, like you guys probably practice like tarot, astrology, pendulums, like, you know, any of that kind of stuff. I feel like you guys are very much in tune, and I think the more you get into that and, you know, embrace this side of yourself, the more you're going to like just lose things. But that helps you like blossom into that more pure version of yourself. Like I said, like you want to see things clearly, but from a kind of unclear place, and to be able to do that, like that requires you kind of being that match for the message. And I feel like you guys being the match for the message requires you to, you know, get naked, quote unquote, get really vulnerable and get to this place that you have really nothing else to hide. Yeah, and that's, I mean, how are you going to do that? You know, you can't have these threats of these intruders. You can't have anybody that disturbs your energy. And I feel like you guys have become very aware of like your emotional exchanges, you know, as you've you strip down, I feel like, to this more raw version of yourself. And when you become aware of those, it's hard not to want to take control and actually do something about it when you notice that, you know, things aren't working out all the way. Because while you may be very new to this journey and maybe just, you know, really beginning, I should say, to tap into your energy, I feel like you guys are still very, very keen and strongly aware of things that need to change and things that aren't for you. So, like, this is the kind of things that, you know, have to happen for that to actually, you know, change for the better, I feel like. And for you guys, you know, why did this end? It's like you made it end. I feel like even if you didn't necessarily make it end, I feel like your spiritual self made it end. Like your higher self was like intervening into this and was like, this energy can't be here anymore. if you are going to do this for whatever reason. And I think, you know, that is confusing to you, and it may irritate you with this Queen Cups here, but I think it's like, it's helping you adjust into your power more. And like, sometimes you just have to, you know, cut people off, cut things off to do that. And I feel like, you know, 8th house, that's the place where you do that. That is the place where you are faced with your evil twin, per se, and you get to kind of decide, you know, what stance you're going to be taking going forward. And yeah, we have the Anchor, we have the Ring, interesting commitment energy, and then the Lady. You guys, yeah, I mean, there's like this commitment you had to make to yourself. Like I said, when you meet that like evil twin, you have to make a commitment to yourself of like, what am I going to do with this information now? And I feel like for you guys with the dog, there's so much commitment energy here. Oh my goodness, the Star, double star. Wow. Okay. Yeah. You guys have made a commitment to yourself, and this is why things ended the way they did. Like, you made a choice, and these are just the repercussions of it. And I think, you know, this is kind of like another pile that I have where it's like, sometimes we ask for things that are so grand and so bold, and then all of these bad things happen, and we're like, what the hell? Like, you know, like, why did that happen? But it's like, you're on your track. You're doing everything that you need to do to receive. And if you're going to do that, you have to, you know, accept that you have to make room, is what I'm getting. And I think that it's hard for you guys to really want to do that because you are such committed people. So sometimes the universe does intervene and does, you know, make you feel just uncomfortable with people that you probably didn't feel uncomfortable with for a long time. I think, you know, you guys had a lot of really solid connections, but at some point they just kind of, you know, things start to fall apart, and it's like, why are things complicated? Why do they have to be this way? But like, why are you this way? You know, that's the thing, is you got this way because things got complicated and you had to learn. You learned about your own energy through all of these situations. And I feel like, you know, why did this end? It ended so you could get what you wanted, so you can be the person that you want to be without any restraints, because I feel like this situation was restraining you for some reason. You know, you had some kind of loyalty to it, but it's like, you know, at what point does that loyalty outdo itself? What point do you have to just kind of stand in your own power? Yes, bear and stand in your own power and say, wait a second, this is my life. These are my choices I get to make, and I get to be who I want to be. And if it doesn't work for you, like, that's okay, but I'm still gonna do me. And I feel like, you know, this is like overprotective energy as much as it is just kind of being in its own element. You know, it's running the show, and I feel like you guys have learned how to run your own show, and that is not going to involve everybody in it, because, you know, Scorpio energy, as much as we have it here, is very selective. You know, they want the right people in their loop, and if you're not in their loop, they have a good reason for it, and it's normally a very instinctual reason. You're like a gut feeling that like something isn't right. And with this intruder energy, I mean, look at this, like, this is somebody just creeping around your house. You know, like, it's, I don't know, it's like making you feel like you aren't safe to do what you need to do, but you need to find the safety to do that. And that's what this energy showed up for you as, you know, like, you had to find the safety, and the way that you were able to do that was through this situation. And I think it's not always easy for us to like experience that, but like, it's showing you a deeper part of you to trust too on top of it, because Neptune involved here, like, there's so much child energy, but then on Neptune involved, it's like there's such a higher energy to it too. Like, it's a very spiritual lesson that you're learning, and it's more so about just who you want in your circle and who you want in your space. And while I think sometimes things, you know, with this rod here come into the mix that make things stirred up in the wrong way, quote unquote, it's like, no, like, you're different now, and you have to accommodate to that. And I feel like those things coming up are the only ways that you can ever really see how far you've actually come, because, you know, Neptune, there's so much fogginess that comes with that, and it's like hard to be able to see maybe what kind of energy exchanges you have, or what kind of person you are, because the Scorpio energy is also somebody who is very much aware of their dark side, and sometimes that's the only thing that can prevail. So like, when you finally start to give yourself the love that you deserve and the recognition you deserve, it's going to feel extremely vulnerable and almost like you shouldn't be doing it. But I feel like you guys, like, you know, why did this happen? It was to get you to the place where you were just like, screw it, like, I have to do it. Like, this is the only option I have, is to stand up for myself and protect myself, because nobody else is going to do it. And, you know, that's kind of a sad truth to life, but like, that's also the duality of that vulnerability, is that like, when you have gone through so much and then you have to work back to get to that vulnerable state, you're not willing to you know, budge for anybody, honestly. Like, you worked hard to get to this page energy, you know? Like, we think, oh, pages are mature, like they're the first card in the for the court cards or whatever for each of the suits. But, like, you know, think about it. Like, it started with a whole journey of, like, the ace through the 10 to get to that place where it was, like, able to hold that pentacle, you know, that was originally presented, or hold that cup that was originally presented. So I feel like you guys have done so much soul work that it was like, this situation ended because it's like you clearly weren't accommodating for how much work you did, or maybe not seeing it correctly. And the only way for you to be able to see it for all of the work that you have put in was to detach from it and was to move on. And I think was for this to end, you know, even if it wasn't from your own choosing. Because I feel like, yeah, I feel like you guys wanted to hang on, but there's, I don't know, there's just something about this that isn't hitting right. And it's, you know, as much as there's all of this, like, really connected energy, it's like, you got to be connected to your truest self first and your truest energy. And I feel like for whatever reason, this, like I said, this situation was restraining you from being able to do that. But now you can let go and, like I said, commit to yourself and commit to your own energy and learn how that actually helps you. And, you know, you don't have to feel afraid about it, because I feel like this energy that you were dealing with before it ended because it was making you feel afraid to do that. And it was like, you know, no, you don't need to deal with that. You don't need to feel afraid. You need to adjust to this new life that you've created for yourself, because the star here is getting that blessing, getting that emotional blessing. So it's like, you've got that emotional blessing. All of these cards are upright. Like, you've got your emotional blessing. You just need to adjust to it. And I think rewire your loyalty too. Like, not think of loyalty as having to be loyal to someone just because they've been around, but being loyal to someone because they have this good intention. They have this good, I don't know, this pure energy to them, I guess, that is clear to you, that it won't hold you back. It doesn't, you know, hide the truth from you. Like I said, you guys are working really hard to get clear on things that aren't really clear to get clear, that really aren't easy to get clear on, excuse me. So with this whole intentions energy too, I feel like you guys are just getting clear on not only your intentions, because you've gotten to that, you know, more vulnerable place where you can see yourself clearly, but now other people's intentions too, and just changing things up according to that. And while you may have needed this initial push to do it at first, but I feel like going forward, you will not have such a tough time you know, cutting people off where you need to, or standing your ground where you need to. You know, you don't always have to cut people off. That's the thing. Sometimes if you just state your boundaries with a sense of power and self, you know, confidence in self, I think people are actually a lot more likely to receive it than you might think. So group 3, I hope this message resonated for you guys, though, all about why did things end the way that they did. So if it did, though, make sure you give this message a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel for more intuitively channeled messages, as I love to give them to you. So if you want extra pick a card readings from me or a personal reading, check out my links below to Instagram or Patreon as always. Otherwise, I'm gonna skedaddle, so I will see you guys in a later video. Peace.